Hello and welcome to episode 8 of Pure Derry Talks. This is, I am afraid, and a wee bit delighted, I have to say, the last episode in the current season. We are now going to focus on the Pure Derry market for the next couple of months. We're still going to keep recording the episodes, so if I spoke to anyone about that, or indeed lots of other new guests, I will still be in touch and we will still be recording across the course of the next few months. But we're going to come back in June then with a fully fleshed out season ready to release. The person that I speak to tonight is actually the first person that I ever asked to be on the podcast way back when I had the idea. It was way back last year. I think it was probably April maybe last year. We were in lockdown. And I thought this guy would be absolutely amazing to speak to. He's had such an interesting life. He's an interesting character. Everybody loves him around the city. And of course it is the one and only Micky Doherty. Micky's obviously known for being an entertainer. And he is someone that everybody loves and everybody loves hearing from. But I think it's no surprise to people that Micky's also had a pretty tough life. And he struggled with his sexuality. He struggled with finding acceptance in the world, and it's just lovely that he's starting to, I suppose, appreciate the value of a wee bit of healing, a wee bit of vulnerability, and he's prepared to talk about that. Way back when I asked Micky to do this, I'm sure not by me sharing, when I asked Micky to do this last year, he's like, no way, I can't do it. It doesn't sound like I'm something I'm up for, but he slowly came around to the idea. I think even to the point that I remember he texted me once saying thanks for encouraging me to share my story, because I think we all recognise that, you know, we love Micky because and in spite of the fact that he has, had a tough life, and he's just a great guy. So we get into everything from, you know, his upbringing, a certain nickname that stuck to him through his life, how that makes him feel, how he coped with it in his life, his childhood. And then just the things that he's doing now as an adult, and how he's coping and struggling through life, as we all are, especially at the moment. Micky is, of course, a really well-known fundraiser. He does a lot of good around the city as well. There is a point in the conversation, and I think this sums up the character of Micky, when I, being the writer that I am, mention a word. The word was altruism. And Micky, and I don't mean this disparagingly, didn't know what the word meant, which I found incredibly charming. And when I suppose, afterwards thought about it and looked up the definition of the word altruism, which is a disinterested and selfless concern for others, often at your own expense, just sums up Micky in a nutshell. And it goes to show that for someone who gives so much, doesn't ask for credit or anything in return, and yet doesn't even know the meaning of the word, it is, I suppose, a wee bit beautiful, really, as he is as a person. So I hope you enjoy this. We will be back in June with the second season of Pure Derry Talks. We will have a whole lineup of new guests, new local people, and I am going to be focused on, of course, the Pure Derry market, which launches this Monday, the 29th. I hope you please show it some support. It's only getting started, but we're really excited with how it's starting to shape up already. It's looking really good. We've got about 40 vendors on there at the moment, 40 local sellers, and it's a local business that is trying to connect local customers to other local businesses. It's kind of like a shop local Amazon, with, it's not got all the bells and whistles, but it is a really good platform, and we hope that you guys will support it. If you're a local business yourself, a local seller, that you'll give it your consideration to come on board and show it some support. So as I say, we're going to be launching this Monday, and delighted for you to see it. So without further delay, this is Pure Derry Talks, Micky Doherty. Have a good evening, folks. You grew up in the Rossville Street Flats, then?
So I was born in number 1 Donnapliss in the Rossville Street Flats. I was born in the very, very top corner, the very first flat at the corner. So I don't remember much. I remember the flats, I remember the Chinese Molly bars, I remember all that, but I remember, the shitting, the army on one side and the Iran the other side. You know what I mean? I remember the shitting and my ma running me on the lift and getting me down and stuff like that. And we moved. My mama moved out of the Bogside. My mama's from the Lecky Road. That's why I was looking there. You had John Hume behind you the last time.
I do.
John's mammy and my granny's two sisters.
Are they?
Aye. So they're all Lecky Road people. And your mommy will tell you all them people from the rustic flats at Lecky Road. They're all connected somewhere, and they're all they're all like one big family. But my mommy chose to move out of the bog and took us to Galia. And I was born and reared in Galia. I lived next door to the Travellers, and there was 18 of them in the one house.
What part of Galia was that, Mickey?
Galia Park.
Galia Park. It's funny. I started writing Pure Derry in Moss Park. I was staying.
Did you?
I was living in Moss Park when Pure Derry went live. So I was living. I moved home and I was kind of homeless, and I ended up living with my friends in Moss Park because I had nowhere to go.
Right.
So you go. So I was a temporary Galia man at one point.
Well, I am. Oh my God. So what did you think of Galia? Did you like it?
I really liked it down there.
Well, I lived in number 64, and I lived next door to the Stokeses, and there was 18 of them in the one house.
What?
I absolutely
18?
18 in the one house. I could tell you all their names.
Go on, tell me all their names.
Oh my God. We had Margaret, Ellie, Kate, Mary, Terry, Tony, Eddie, John, Tom, Michael, Christy. I'm going on. Michael, Christy, Julia, Rosemary. There was 18 of them. 17 of them.
That's amazing. That's like a scene from Ted when Mark Wahlberg rings off Tina, Tanya.
And their mother died of cancer. Ciaran.
Right.
Leaving Tom. Tom was the main man of the travelling community. He was the main man of the house. She died at 34, and my mammy went down. And my mammy helped look after them. Most of the Gaelic people did. We all became one big family. I can tell you this, Ciaran. I never had the most beautiful neighbours, friends and family all my life in Gaelic Park.
Aye.
We never had one row. Now, I was a bad one, I have to say. I was wild for the Mickey knocking. And what could I explain it? Ciaran, my father was very strict. My father was from Craigan.
Right.
And my father was a Craigan man, and he was a Republican. And he was really, really strict. Now I've come to see that my father's passed away, and you have to learn to forgive. We all lived in the one house, Ciaran, but my father's brother was also gay in the 1970s, and he was murdered. He was hit and run in Foyle Street.
Right.
Robert was a tortured soul.
Oh.
He lived in Craigan. Anybody that's watching this tonight will know who I'm on with, Robert Doherty. Robert was 20. Oh God, Robert was the life and soul of everybody's life. Everybody loved him, but he was bit to a pulp everywhere he went because he was gay. So in the 1970s, because you've actually been gay then.
Oh.
I didn't know that, but he was killed anyway. He was murdered. He was killed.
Was he actually killed? Was he killed, or was it murder, or was it an accident?
He was hit with the car and they drove on. But I believe it. I now believe it was hit and on. Somebody was out to plot to get him.
Wow.
Never ever found him. Never ever found it. Jean and Marie, all the sisters, the Doherty families went to never get justice, obviously.
Gee, Mickey.
Sorry
to hear that.
Now I'm thinking, was that my father's reason for being so strict with me? Because he wanted to toughen me up. He didn't want, because you see, I knew I was different, Ciaran.
Well,
I knew when I went to Gaelic, the boys were knocking at my door, and my mama's door saying, "Mickey, come right for a match?" My mom says, "No, he's upstairs playing with them fucking dolls." Shut the door, because I had two sisters, and they had Sunday dolls.
And that's what you played with? Because
they were called Miss Words. No, they were called Miss Words, so I had to go up and whatever. But I also was a disco dancer, Ciaran, and I was a child model. But I was hidden from the world. My mother hid me from society. Nobody ever knew that I was a dancer. No, Kathy Wade, who you hope is going to be watching this tonight, I want to thank her for the memories and the euphoria that she gave me to become alive. I became a dancer and I became a child model. For my teacher was Miss Doherty. Hope she's watching tonight because I know she's a fan of yours, I think. Her sister was Miss Ireland.
Right.
And they owned a modelling company in Belfast, Ciaran. Then when I was young, I had hair to die for. Now, you know I've had a hair transplant, obviously.
I'm going to get the number off you later, don't worry.
I've got it down. So my mother had me from the word. I couldn't leave her side, Ciaran. I couldn't leave her. And She put me on the bus. She took me to Belfast, got me all my stuff, the model, my first communion gear, everything else, and I was a dancer. So she snipped me out of school, and Kathy Wade put me on the bus and took me to Dublin. I was the only dancer in Derry, not Irish, disco. And I was an All Ireland champion at the age
Wow.
of 7 with 4 beautiful girls: Geraldine Boner, Andrew Cannon, my sister Gail, and me, Geraldine Boner, and Angela Tolan from the Brandywell. Now, could you imagine being the only boy? Dublin was a big, massive place, and everybody's, oh my God, who's this wee boy? My mammy she put a dicky bow on me. I had to put sequins on me and blue bloomers, and the 4 girls that saw me dancing was beat boy, hit that perfect beat boy. Do you mind that
I
song?
do.
Calm your
I
nerves.
do. I.
I was in the middle, and I, and I became an All Ireland champion.
Amazing. Well done.
And my mother got me off the bus and put a karate suit on me to take me into Galia.
Oh,
To
Mickey.
pretend to my
And how?
to pretend that what could I explain it, that I don't karate because she was so terrified of society.
Oh,
Sorry.
Mickey. Oh, I can imagine. And that,
I'm sorry, Ciaran.
no, listen,
Right, so
listen. I didn't have any questions, but I have things that I want to ask you. I have things that I wanted to, I suppose, explore.
but you come alive when you become a dancer, when you become a performer, you become alive.
Aye,
Everybody's cheering at you. Everybody's like, oh my God, I've got the world at my feet here.
aye.
I was able to sing, perform, and I went down to school. I went down to school and
And how did that,
I
Mickey?
couldn't say it.
How did that?
Sorry.
How did that? I mean, that's where I wanted to kind of ask you about the fact that what you're talking about is that you really grew up and you weren't really allowed to be yourself, and that's
My childhood was robbed from me,
aye,
not by the people of Galia because they loved me. All my neighbours and my friends in Galia Park, we all were one big family.
yeah,
Travelling community. Um, you know, you obviously know Roy Breslin's a Bentley,
yes,
Ski,
yeah.
Shawnee Friars,
Of course, I
Sean.
know Sean. I
Had a crush on Sean all my life. All them kind of people. All them ones from Galia, Tommy McMullen, Liam, everybody in Galia, everybody, I hope they're watching this evening. We were all one big family. Um, and I was accepted in Galia Park.
yeah,
You know,
but not by your own family. You didn't think not by your own mummy and
my
daddy.
father never knew I danced. My father wouldn't allow me to dance. I wasn't allowed to perform or dance. I was he was a man. He was a Craigan man. And I do think to myself, he was trying to protect me.
Yeah.
But my mother had me from him.
Yeah, and so you,
Had me from society as well. Took me to Belfast. Made me the model. Richmond Centre open. She marched up and down a catwalk. For Benetton, Austin's and everything else. And then I was going on with Kathy Wade and she was putting me on all these competitions. I was winning everything.
I know,
And then I went on to school. And I couldn't settle, Ciaran.
aye.
I knew there was something wrong with me. I knew it was different from everybody else. And I mind the teacher wanting to sellotape me to the chair.
What?
Yes,
Sellotape you
because
to the chair?
I couldn't sit. I could not sit.
Aye,
Up, down, up, down,
aye.
up,
You
down.
were.
It was, I know now, it was attention-seeking disorder, Ciaran.
Oh.
Right? I know about
And
that. But
and Mickey,
but
Mickey,
that was all right.
well, I was
Sorry?
just going to say. I mean, I was going to say on that I mean, you obviously craved, as all children do. You craved the approval and the validation of your parents to be the person that you actually were, and not to try and conform to what that expectation, and that obviously has a huge bearing on your outlook as you go through life. How do you feel now looking back about that? Is that something you are bitter about, that you
No.
resent, or
I watch. My dream is always to be a TV presenter, and I always wanted to be a performer. I will be a TV presenter.
well, you are a
because I'm my
performer?
heart. I always wanted to have my own show. What I can explain it. I feel as if so basically when I was told, they rang my mother and says, "But there's something wrong with your son." Kim, you think about it. There was no counsellors them days.
No.
There was no mentors, counsellors. They said to my mommy, "There's something wrong with your son. We can't control him. Is there anything he can do?" My mommy says, "Oh, my son can sing and he can dance." Well, that was the end of that story. I was the ugly duckling. I won the Derry fish. I was the Pied Piper. I was in the King and I was in every show going. And I remember going round on the back of school saying, "Oh, I can sing, blah blah blah," and I was the performer then, but I couldn't go home, and my father never knew.
Really? And how did that just go through your life? Did that go on for years and years? How did?
My father heard me first performing on his 60th birthday.
And what age were you, Emma? If you don't mind me asking.
He was a very private man, you know,
Right.
Ciaran. Eh?
What age were you?
I was so I'm 44. But you see, he never went out, Ciaran. My daddy sat in the house all the time. He was a house.
And
There's a lot of addiction in our family.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've been watching. I don't know if you've been watching Tansman White.
I've seen. I have. I have. About the.
That's all my family, Ciaran.
Is it? Is it? I didn't realise.
That's all my family. We all suffer from addiction. Louise, who was absolutely the word at her feet. Robert, Dee Dee, Budgie. So it's within the family. You know, I can't way that it's there.
I think everybody suffers from addiction, Mickey. I think
100%, you're right.
addiction is just us filling a hole in our life that and in
right.
our hearts. You know, and
you're
and
right,
anybody who is susceptible or finds himself, you know, filling holes in their life with substance is because, you know, they're upset or they're avoiding something. And I know from what you're telling me is that you've had a childhood that your daddy didn't really accept you. Your daddy didn't really want, or not. That didn't, maybe your mommy was it driven by your mommy that your mommy didn't want your daddy to know? What was it?
No, they were scared of society.
Who was scared?
My mum and daddy.
But who? I'm trying to understand who was stopping you from being yourself in front of your daddy. Was it you? Was it your mommy? Was it your other members of the family?
I think I was terrified of my daddy. I think I was terrified to let him know that I was a dancer because men didn't dance, men didn't sing, Ciaran. Men didn't, you know. My daddy was very private, but was very strict. You know, I couldn't sit there, you know. And what way can I explain it? So at that time, you couldn't. Ciaran, I couldn't explain it. It got to the stage where wasn't allowed. That was all right. I had to stop dancing because as you get older, you were going to get bullied, whatever. And then I went on to secondary school, and that's where my horror stories began.
That's it.
So the teachers did not like me whatsoever because I was always seeking attention, Ciaran. I wanted to be loved.
You wanted what you didn't get at home. You wanted that.
I wanted to be loved, and I wanted to because at that time, growing up, there was people calling me, Pansy boy, Pansy boy, Pansy boy. So I thought, why are they calling me this for? Why are they calling me this for? You know, my mother protected me from the world. Yeah. She was my idol.
Right.
She protected me everywhere I went. She would have killed dead things to make sure that I was protected. You know, she was. I can't explain it, but anyway. And I went to that school. All mothers are, and I'm saying if anybody here is watching this and pulls over the mother, please give her a hug and tell her you love her because your mother is your everything. You know, she brings in the word. And I went down to school and that was all right. So I craved attention. So I thought, right, so a bit to pop the first, that was all right. And I thought, how am I going to get people to like me here in this fucking school? Excuse me for cursing.
Right.
How am I going to get people to like me? So I started to make people laugh. Started carrying and joking, whatever. The teachers did not like me whatsoever. But they did not know that I was suffering with a mental health issue. I was suffering with, I couldn't barely read or write. I was suffering with attention-seeking disorder. ADHD. I was suffering with everything, but they don't know what that was then, Ciaran. And it's funny because one of the teachers, and here we're going to go deep now, where I was really carrying on, and he banged the table and he says, "Sit down, your handbag." And I sat down. And from that day onwards, that is the name that has always stuck to me. Then I allowed it. I allowed it to happen then, you know. So that was the way it was.
How do you feel when you hear that term being used?
Nowadays, I can correct people.
Yeah.
I allowed it to happen, Ciaran. No, I allowed people to call me that. But then I thought to myself, you know, my mother christened me Michael Doherty. Why would you want to call somebody, right, so Ciaran, I'm not speaking about myself. You go on to school, if you've red hair, If you wear
Ginger
glasses,
Bop and Spaggy
if you
4
have a wit problem,
Aye.
people will identify what I'm saying. If you are slow, if you have a stutter, if you talk so anything at all, you will be picked on for
Yeah,
something.
ex-
No matter what. Insecurities. Every one of us, Ciaran, have
of
insecurities.
course, all
So
of us.
he called me that, and from that day on, I was a tortured person. Everywhere I went, if I was getting on the bus, if I was walking down the street, my sisters was coming on fight me people. Mickey handbag, Mickey handbag, Mickey hand. It was I went home and I just put the lead of an iron around my neck, and I just wanted to die.
Oh God, Mickey.
And I couldn't understand why this was happening. And I couldn't survive, Kieran.
I know, and
I couldn't
that's a
survive.
tough.
And the only thing that I had to do was pray.
Uh,
And I joined a prayer group, and I want to commend Jerry McCall. I don't know if there's everyone who watches tonight. Jerry Nichol and Joanne O'Neill. They brought me into a prayer group, and they learnt me a prayer, which was I know you're a religion
well,
member.
but I respect your.
It was a divine mercy, and I sat. And I sat, and I just sat in the presence of God, and I just kept on praying and praying. Why is people treating me like this? And I become very spiritual. Then I began to see things in my
I'm
sleep.
very spiritual too, by the way. But
I seen when I closed my eyes, I seen angels come to me in my sleep. Beautiful gold angels. I've seen a lot of things in my sleep, spiritual. And I thought I'm going to be all right here. And but no, went down to the town, and it was just constantly here. Everywhere I went, it was handbag. And then I started laughing with him, thinking, "Oh, it's all right to call me that. Sure, I'll allow it."
well, you know what? I mentioned. I'm not going to mention any names.
Right?
And I mentioned to somebody recently, they were asking me, "How's the podcast going?" I says, I'm going to do whatever. I'm doing this, and I was like, "Oh, I've got this guest, and I says, I'm trying to get Micky Doherty, Micky Doherty, and they said Mickey Handbag, and I says, no, Micky Doherty, and I think it is. It still floats about. It still exists. It's wrong that it floats around.
That will be me to the day I die. But people have come up and apologised and says, "Michael, I'm sorry. I thought that was your stage name."
Yeah, right. Okay. Aye.
So people think it's normal.
People think it's normal.
Until I correct them and say, "Excuse me, don't call me that." Then I'm like, "Oh, I'm really sorry." And some people genuinely don't think.
Don't know. They don't know.
No, they don't. But there was Ciaran, day in and day out, walking up a town, pansy boy, faggot, queer boy. I was no angel.
Yeah.
And I became bold.
Yeah.
But I was afraid of men, Ciaran. Because this thing kept on. It was day in and day out and day in and day out. I thought, when is this ever going to stop? And I was giving myself. I became a self-harmer. I was giving myself black eyes, and I was letting on to take panic attacks out my backyard so my mama could hold me tight. They say, "I love you. You're going to be all right."
God, Mickey. So you wanted to have that. You wanted to have that validation. You wanted to have that connection with your mum, and you were taking it.
I did. I did because I knew she was holding me. But nobody in the streets would say, you know what I'm saying.
And at what point did there come a time, or did there come a point then when you kind of thought enough's enough, and I turned a corner? Like what was the inciting event when that happened, or what? How?
Drugs.
So you.
I went to the point I was 14 years of age, and I went to the point and I took an ecstasy tablet.
As you do.
And everybody started hugging me. Everybody started to tell me it was beautiful. And saying, "Oh my God, fellas, oh my God, Mickey, you're an amazing dancer. Look at you, you're amazing." And I never felt so beautiful in all my life. I never wanted that night to end. I never missed one night at that point on Ciaran.
You never missed one night?
14 years.
Really?
Never. No. Every night I was there on Kelly's. And the ecstasy gives you a euphoria, as you know.
Yeah.
Nobody fought them days on the point on Ciaran.
No.
Everybody loved one another.
Yeah. It was a...
So I was thinking, oh my God. I don't want to go home.
And so that, I mean, that's funny because we had that conversation with like the guys from ARC recently, the addiction recovery coaching, Gary Rutherford and all.
Oh, he's something else, that
He's
man.
some public, but and I've been doing a lot of research about the topic of addiction. I've been listening to so much about it, like reading and listening to podcasts about it, and you realize that when you actually start on a substance, like you started taking ecstasy, and that escapism started for you, that was actually forming a protective plaster for you. That was you were medicating. That was serving a purpose in your life. That was giving you that escapism, and you felt connected. You felt loved.
Best years of my life, Ciaran. I'm not going to deny it.
But then, obviously, years later, you had the as we were chatting about one other day when you were saying that you eventually had to face up the substance abuse. The point I'm making, I suppose, is that these things serve a purpose when they're at the time, and then you have to face up and say, right, I now can't. Now it's becoming debilitating. So at what point did you find that became like? Where did it, was it ecstasy? Did it veer off on the other things then, or?
No, ecstasy only, Ciaran. And again, I was 14 years of age, and week in, week out,
You started taking ecstasy at 14.
Yes, my first half an E was £15, and there's no point me coming on here now to lie, but I have to just be honest. That saved my life.
I would say so. I'd give you,
because if I didn't take that drug, I was taking my life, Ciaran. I was going because I love my prayer, my religion. But then someone said to me, "Oh, go to Point on the night. You'll enjoy the crack, it'll be good." And I'm like, "Oh no, woman, my thing. Come down and see." And Ciaran, they snipped me on the window because I was so tiny. They snipped me on the girls' toilet. I didn't even have to pay to get in. They snipped me on the toilet. And I came on and I was just alive. Alive. Every Friday night I became alive. And I didn't want that to end.
And you could dance. You could connect with people.
Oh, I was some dancer, Ciaran.
I know you were. I remember you at the point on. I remember you at the point on. I was at the point on at the kind of the end of those sort of 14 years. It just was coming to an end when I was able to go up the point on. But, amazing experiences. I remember you at it. I remember you.
I'm here.
You've more hair than me now. I'm definitely getting that number off you.
But you're still good looking, Ciaran.
Aye, so are you.
Okay.
But hey, I remember. Was it the Lee factory? You used to work in the Lee factory.
Desmond's.
Was it Desmond's? Desmond's
Fruit Loom. Got it on there too. Cemented.
Did you? Aye.
Bullied.
Did you? Aye.
What? And then imagine like I worked at Fruit Loom and I worked in Desmond's. And that's where I had my breakdown at 17. And I had to confess. I had to come home and tell my father and my mother that this was happening. And one of the supervisors says, "Well, maybe if he didn't dress he wouldn't have got slagging."
That's kind of like maybe if she didn't dress with that skimpy outfit, she wouldn't have got ripped.
Thank you.
Exactly.
So I love my appearance, Ciaran. So I'm going on the factory every week, dressing up, wearing my lovely jeans. I wanted to feel beautiful. That's the person that I was.
Of course you do. That's you.
But the word church says, well, maybe it shouldn't have happened if I hadn't dressed that way. So that was all right then, and I had a breakdown. I had a breakdown then at 17, and I was on heavy medication. I was on 250 milligrams of Effexor, 60 diazepam a day, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, 2 at night, and a temazepam at night as well. Went down to Desmond's then. The girls love me. I love the girls. I love Desmond's. Best years of my life. A few fellas bullied me. Who I am friends with now.
Aye.
Who we sat one night in the party and apologised. And I'm like, unreal.
And how do you feel?
I'm going to go back to school again if you don't mind me saying.
Let's go back to school. Let's go. Take me back to school, Mickey.
Couple of teachers, so that teacher named the handbag, whatever. Then this one teacher, Mr. Riley, I think it was English, and I'm only just remember now. I was just making people laugh, and the words he said to me: "Get out of my class, you mentally deficient crater." But I didn't know what that meant. So I left, and I never, and this is over my mother's grave, I have never studied that to see what it was until today, because I was prepared to talk to you, and I typed in, what is the definition of mentally deficient creator? Somebody is a retard.
Really?
That's
Is it
a
critter?
failure to intellectual development that is marked as mental
And the
retardation.
teacher said this to you.
Get out of my class, you mentally deficient creator. Yes, it did.
Wow.
It did.
And we.
And then the principal of the school at that time, like I was no easy angel because I was
Well,
very
that's what I was going
destructive.
to ask you.
I
What
was
were you up to? What were you up to?
always running the girls' toilet, smoking all the time. The girls stuck up for me.
There, aye. So.
Corner, chin, whatever. And I met a fella at my first scrap. We were killing one another. We were killing one, I believe, fair patches. I met him years later too, and he says, "You know what, Michael?" He says, "You says that I had a whatever," and I said, "But you called me Mickey Handbag." Then we walked down along on a Sunday morning with his dog down Adabon Cranna Road, and we had the most beautifulest talk. And I believe that's the spirit for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's.
And then Whitford. So the teacher who couldn't despise me. Well, I thought he could despise me because I had him tortured. The principal. He ended up taking sick, and I met him in the town. I said, "Well, where's?" And I said, "Oh my God, look, I just want to tell you, Mister Whatever." I says, "I was going through a wild hard time in the streets of Derry." I said, "But you didn't know that. There was no counsellors to help me and blah blah blah." And he says, "Michael, I'm so sorry." He says, "Michael, I'm diagnosed with Parkinson's." He says, "Could you say a prayer for me?" And I walked away and I cried. Thought, "Oh my God, how amazing is this?" And then I ended up nursing him in the hospital. And we
Really?
became friends.
Oh wow, Mickey, that's amazing.
You see,
That's
I
amazing.
know this how it turns around. So I always say, see people with authority, people that are boys, people that are stripes, always watch the way you treat
Of
people.
course.
Because your children's going to come on to you someday and say, "Oh, I'm being bullied."
Yeah.
And that person's going to say, "Oh my God, I mind being bullying someone." You know, people that gets a stripe of being a manager, people that gets a stripe of being a supervisor, maybe in a factory or in a restaurant or in a hospital, whatever. You know, some people get stripes and take it too far, Ciaran,
Yeah.
and like they bully.
No.
But they have to remember their children have to grow up in the world,
No.
just the way I had to grow
No.
up.
Exactly. I think.
So you need to be kind, Kieran. You need to tell people they're beautiful. You need My mother told me, do for hours and expect nothing in return. And every day of my life, Kieran, no matter what it is, I will say to somebody, if it's a walking a woman across the road, "You're looking beautiful." I always do something for somebody every day,
That's
Kieran.
lovely.
That's the best.
That's lovely. Aye. And see what you're talking about there, Mickey. You're talking about probably one of my favourite subjects in the world, which is growth, which is the idea that people change, that that not everybody is static and stays the same. And you were bullied and you were tormented by people who later in life had regrets and remorse, and who
Oh my God.
also Mickey, you have to acknowledge, were probably had all their own shit going on at home as well too. You
Uh,
don't know what they were going
uh,
through. Maybe their daddies were
that's right.
their parents were thing. And I think I've met people that are the opposite, that hold grudges and they're like, "Oh, your mom was a dick at school," and you're like, "Whatever," and then you go, "What age were you?" He's like, "Oh, he was a wild man when he was 12 or 13." You're like, "You're fucking 44. What are you doing?" It's so exactly. And it's kind of, it always makes me laugh. It's almost the same as when people pass their 11 plus. So like what did you get in your 11 plus? Did you go look? I went to college, or whatever.
Did you get an M
I got a one.
or an A?
I got a 1 on my 11 plus. What did you get? I got whatever. And you're like, "What do you do now?" And it's like, it's still, anyway. Point being, Mickey, it's growth. I think it's always beautiful when you see that growth in people. It's a very cliched quote that's been rolled out many times, but it's still amazing. It's from Muhammad Ali, when Muhammad Ali says, "A man who thinks the same at 20 as he does at 50 has wasted." Sorry. A man who thinks the same at 50 as he did at 20 has missed 30 years of his life. And if you think about that, anybody who's got that same mindset going through their life, it's beautiful to see people just grow up and go, "I was really wrong. I'm really sorry.
I know.
I'm sorry about that."
I know, and I love that because I went to Medjugorje and I had another beautiful teacher who was very strict at the time. We were sitting on a mountain, and have you heard of Medjugorje?
No, tell me about it.
Medjugorje is like Lourdes. Medjugorje is where Our Lady
I'm
appeared.
all nerds. I have to get that on a. I have to get. I'm going to get that. Can you? Hey, will you do a T-shirt for me on Pure Day? I'm all nerds. I'm a.
No, well,
I'm a split.
that's a person or lady. No, thanks. You're all
Right.
right.
Okay, that's me in the bring.
Look, she's
Can we
behind
do it for
me.
charity?
Look at
Can we do it
her.
for?
Look at her.
Sorry, I'm the bad.
Isn't she
I'm the bad
beautiful?
books now. She is beautiful.
But so Magic Hour is the place where people go to pray, whatever, and things happen in Magic Hour already appeared. But I met the teacher in a mountain on my own, sitting, walked up the field. I was sitting on my own in the dark in the torchlight. She said, "Mike, could I speak to you for a second?" I said, Michael. And I loved her for this, and I still love her today. She says, hang on, can I pour me
You
glass?
pour me glass.
This is my second glass. Hello.
What age were you when you came out, Mickey?
28.
And how you talk me through that? How that happened, or what the sort of?
I was terrified. I was terrified to come out.
Because you were
I met
like
a beautiful. Sorry,
no, sorry, I was going to stop interrupting you.
go on ahead. Go on ahead.
No, because I'm going to say you were in a relationship with a girl.
I was engaged to be married with the most beautiful person you could ever meet. Beautiful mommy. And what way could I explain it? I was moving to Jersey. I was packing my bags, moving to Jersey, and I think I was 17, 18. 17. And I knew I was going to come out. I thought I have to get this over and done with because I was so terrified of society. And I jumped on a plane, went to Jersey, and I moved over there, and I was managing of a supermarket. And I thought, right, this is okay. This is my time now to come out. Nobody's going to know me over here. Who have I had to be scared of? I'm not in Derry anymore. I was scared of my daddy, the boys and the men's and whatever, the whole society of Derry. Because don't forget, I'm 44, so my age, there was no such thing as gay again. They all cleared to Dublin. My friends all left me, went to Dublin, and I lived in Jersey I was there for 2.5 months, and my girlfriend at the time, Romy, said, "Michael, you're going to be a daddy." I said, "Me?" She says, "I'm pregnant." So my mother, Romy, she says, "You're going to be a father. You need to get on that plane and come back and accept your responsibility." So I came back and accepted the responsibility, and I stayed with her for 9 years.
Wow.
I have a beautiful son at 23. She is the most amazing mother ever, and I put her through hell. Simple as.
Oh, and did that delay your coming out then? Did you stay with her without coming out?
I thought to myself, oh, maybe I'm not gay. I'm a daddy. You know, I didn't. I loved her as if we were pen pals when we were years ago. Years ago, we were pen pals. At 12, we used to write to one another. And then she was engaged to be married to somebody else, and I was going mental, going with women, and went with loads of women, and whatever. And then we met in the factory again, and then we ended up rekindling, and ended up going with one another. And then she was pregnant and came back home, and we stayed together. We got a wee house, and oh my God, it was a nightmare because I let her down a lot of time.
You know in your heart? You knew in your heart? Your gut always knows, doesn't it?
I was struggling. How do I do this? And then a fortune teller came to the house and says that I was going down a very bad road if I don't speak up the truth and say that I'm not happy, whatever, blah blah blah. And then 2 months later, we were engaged, whatever, and then I told her that I was pregnant, and she was absolutely devastated.
Oh my God!
And I hurt her a lot.
And
I have never met anybody since. Do you know who the first person I told I was gay?
Who?
Give you a guess.
Your mommy? Your daddy? Really? Your daddy? How did he react?
This is the hard part. My father said to me, "I'm so sorry for the way I treated you."
Oh,
and I wish you the best of luck. He was very sick at the time. He had cancer, and I nursed him in the house with my mommy. And he had a tracheostomy in, and I had to take a trachea in. You know, we both looked after him, and my sister Gail and Lisa. You know, and see that feeling of, I'm so sorry for it. You enjoy your life, son. And I never sat in the living room with my daddy. I always in the kitchen with my ma. You know, he in the living room, I was allowed to sit in the living room. But to get that feeling of him telling me that,
yeah,
is like him saying to me, Ciaran, look, I knew my daddy loved me.
Aye.
He just wanted to best me. He was trying to toughen me up no matter what happened.
Aye.
But whatever happened has own life growing up. You know what I mean? But he was the first person I told, and I went on for a karaoke competition in Sugar, and I won £2,500.
Really? Well done.
And then I could sing. I could not. I wear hearing aids now, but I could hold a voice then. And I thought, if I don't won this, I won £2,500. Jumped on a plane, told everybody I was gay, and moved to London.
Fucking hell, Mickey.
Never been out of Derry. Never seen a drag queen in my life. Never been in a gay club in my life. Never.
And so, what age are you now at this point? What age are your no,
What age am I now?
No, what age? I mean, in the story, what age are you in the story?
I was 27 when I came out.
27 when you come out. So
But
it's
I came back and I was really, really bad on ecstasy, and then I started taking. I had a nervous break. Actually, when I came out, 2 months later, I had a nervous breakdown, and I was in Grantia. And I'm going to be really, really honest with you, Ciaran. I don't know if it was a nervous breakdown, or I don't know if it was attention seeking.
Really?
Aye, because I have to be honest, Ciaran. I can't
No,
lie.
of course you have to. You have to be. And how?
I was cried out the fact that I was gay, and I thought, oh, I'm going to get killed, whatever. My body started to tremble. You know, I couldn't breathe, and I was taking all these blues tablets.
Mm-hmm.
I was ringing Tristan's mama, I'm going to kill myself. I was making it all about me.
Aye.
I should have been thinking about her and my son. And
but you say that, but you have to give yourself, you have to be compassionate with yourself too, and you have to understand that it was you that was dealing with this. But the sounds of it, I think, not that you can ever regret things, but you probably look back now and think, I wish I had just ripped the sticking plaster off and just got it over and done with. But
I wish I had done it. I wish I had done it when I was 15, but then I wouldn't have my son. I wouldn't have my son then.
Aye, well that's it. Exactly.
I believe my life was robbed as a child, and I believe God gave me that child, Tristan.
Well,
could be wrong, but that's what I'm thinking.
No, you have to learn to be, you have to be learn to philosophical these things, Mickey, and I think. Do you look back on that now and sort of think I dragged that out, or I wish that I had even like, what age were you when your son was born? You obviously were like
17, turned 18.
So you went 10 years after your son was born. That's 10 years of your life that you loved in a lie, and
I'm loving a lie since I was 5, Ciaran.
I know, Mickey, and I think that's one of the realizations on the journey of life, is that if you can't be authentic and you can't be yourself, it starts to mess with your head. It starts to really affect you, and you are a person who has been on a journey to find your authentic self, to be accepted for who you are, to be your own true self. And the ironic thing is that people love you. Like, everybody loves you. Like everybody loves you, and it's not because they think that you're a perfect person. It's because they know that you've had a tough life. And I think I remember, I can't remember the exact incident, but I remember you were working in the Desmond's factory, and I think, was it my brother was working there at the time and something else, and I knew that you were gay. Everybody knew that you were gay. A lot of people knew that you were gay and those things, and it was you that were denying it to yourself. Do you know what I mean? So
I was afraid.
It's a fear.
I was afraid of my father. I was afraid of my mother. I was afraid of society, Ciaran, because Ciaran, nobody came out at that age. I was getting fucking. Excuse me again. Sorry for cursing. Like cursing.
It's okay, you curse away, Mickey.
I was getting. I looked at him. There was no angel. But every corner of the street, every bus, children, everywhere, hands in my handbag. I couldn't. I can't explain it. That's how it was. So I thought, I'll never be gay. I'll show them I'm not gay.
Is that your attitude?
How do I overcome that? I'll start to make people laugh, and then I became an entertainer.
And that's where you. So that's where you got Andy being. Andy.
I rung Claire McKellion. I hope she's watching tonight. Well, she's watching Saturday. I rung Claire, and I says, Claire, we were in the folk group together, and I says, I'd love to start a band. I'd love to go in the band and start to entertain people. 2 because I know I was a born performer. And she says, right, okay. So I rung Toe, that owns the Bentley. My friend Ski, the two of them, and Jason, all rung, and I says, is there any possibility, could you give me the opportunity to come on and do an 80s pop band? He was like, Toe says, all right, okay, we'll give you a try it. And from that day forward, I packed the bars out. I wasn't a great singer. I'm not going to say, people say, oh, and I know people come on and say, Micky Doherty, shite singer. But I'll tell you what, Ciaran, I'm an entertainer.
You are.
When you come to my show, you will get a show.
Aye.
I remember. No, I have to say, I'm not a great singer, but you'll get a show. But he gave me the opportunity, and from then on, it became Camp Fridays, Camp Sundays. The Bentley was rammed. You couldn't get a seat on it, and then the euphoria. You know that when I went into rehab at 29, Ciaran, you know, I had drug-induced psychosis, where I thought people were following me, and my friend Kathy, she came over to my mum, Kathy McSheffrey, and she took me to her house. She got me into rehab on the White Oaks, and she took me into her house for 2 weeks to get myself together. Everything was coming against me. The drugs were coming against me, and I thought, sink or swim. And I came out of there, and I got clean then, you know, for 3 years, whatever. And my life started to expire, started to make people laugh. And then I'd done a degree in counselling, and I learned that all the stuff that I was robbed as a childhood, I'm going to turn this around. So see all the people that bullied me or whatever, called me everything, I turned it around by telling people how beautiful they were.
Yeah.
I turned it around about being kind. I'm going to make you special. If it was your birthday tonight, you got that hour show for free, and you're in the Bentley.
Yeah.
I love to stop people in the street here and say, oh my God, you look beautiful. I love to stop people and say, oh, your hair's gorgeous. I always am very clean on my appearance.
Yeah.
And I love to compliment people. Because I never got complimented all my life. But I love to do that, Ciaran. That's just, that's just me.
Me and you spoke way last year where you kind of been on the cusp of a big career change with BBC and all that stuff was happening. And has that opportunity kind of passed now with all the pandemic?
First of all, I'm going to just thank you to Andrew Doherty, who does the Derry City Council.
Yeah.
So I began to do my charity work once I got the Bentley. Now, I will tell you again, I don't know if you know this, Ciaran. If you're going to do something for somebody, if you're going to do charity work, if you're going to do something, you don't need to tell people that you're going to do it.
Altruism.
That doesn't make you a hero, you see.
Yeah.
If you're hosting events, you don't have to come on social media and say, I raised this for charity. Because when you're going to do something for somebody, Ciaran, do it. And don't say nothing. That's where you get your reward, Ciaran.
The gift is in the gift is in the giving, as they say.
Yes. And I'm hosting events all my life, and I've never once come on and says on social media, I've raised this, because there's no, why do I want to tell that for? I just have a duty to do that. I believe God has given me the duty to. Plus, I'm going to tell you another thing as well. I want to be liked more, Ciaran. So I feel I have to do that. I feel I have to do that. I want to do that because I want people to like me more.
That's, you know what? It's really disarming that you're so honest and so open about, I suppose, your need to be liked and to be loved, because people do love you, people do like you, and you don't need to do anything. And I can connect with that feeling, because I think I've tried to be a people pleaser as well on my platforms, where I've spent ages trying to defend points and trying to do this and trying to do that, because I genuinely believe in my heart that I always act from a place of trying to do what's right. That's what you say to me, like, oh, I'm a contrarian and I'm whatever. I only ever act when I think I'm doing what I think is right. You know, when I did all the things about COVID, all the stuff, when I come out and says we need to do X, Y, Z, I was doing what I thought was the right thing to do. And
that's why I didn't know you then, because you were behind the screen. So I don't know who this was Pure Derry was. I was like, who is this fella? Yes, you're not there. Nobody knew who you were, and I was all, well, who the F was he? I don't know him.
But because the point is, I never craved any attention. I was the exact opposite. I don't crave attention. I don't care. But it's never, to me, the stuff that I've always been doing has never been about me. It's always been about the topic. It's always been about making the point. And then I got to a point where I was like, well, you're now at a point where you've got this big audience, and
Yes.
you want to say these things, you want to get involved in conversations, and well, you kind of need to step out and you need to be
Aye.
this person. But I think that comes with the weight of expectation then, or the weight of judgment, where
Aye.
I went through a stage of going, oh well, they don't like that, and why do they not like that? And people that I maybe knew through others who were like slagging me off, and it starts to affect you. I've given up all that now. I just don't let it affect me. But I find it really interesting that you just accept that in your life. Like if it was me, I'd be like, I want to cut that shit out. I want to try and get rid of that. How do you reconcile like that and sort of wanting to be liked? Do you ever get to a point where you're like, I want to try and move away from wanting to be liked? Is that ever something that you want to try and?
You see, that's another thing. So I was going on the streets of the bars and the entertainment. I couldn't go and sit in a bar, Ciaran, because I'm always approached by people. So I couldn't get peace. So my aim was to move to Belfast, where I got the runner's post, a runner's job in the BBC. Andrea Doherty, the beautiful person that she is, I wrote her after my mommy passed away and my daddy 4 weeks later, 5 weeks later. And I says, look, can I work? Can I do
Your
anything?
mummy.
I said, can I do anything for you? She gave me a job. She said, aye. She said, do you want to come up and... She said, right, we'll ring you back. And then she let me turn on the lights at the Guildhall with Santa. And then from then on, the Derry City Council got me for every event that they had. Halloween, like, is hosted all over the world. And there I am in the middle of... I'm like a big fish in a wee pond here. But then I applied for the job in the BBC and I was moving. And, Ciaran, the day my mommy died, I died. Simple as. I kept to say it. The day she
When
died, I died.
when did your mommy die, Mickey?
She's dead now. 5.5 years, Ciaran.
It's
She wasn't even sick. My daddy had lock-on syndrome, Ciaran. Do you know what that is?
No.
The worst. My daddy had the worst case in Northern Ireland. My daddy had a stroke a couple of days
Oh,
after
lock.
his...
Yeah, they just
God.
right.
A couple of days after his 60th birthday in the Piggery Ridge. I was singing from him and I put on the roller. I sung, right, just to want to let you know all these years ago, you have to know that I sung this song when you were in the house. I'm going to dedicate this to you now, and this is for you. And I sung Boy George, Come a Chameleon, and he cried, and he cried, and he cried, and I never seen my father cry. And a week later, my daddy went under a stroke, and then the stroke left him with lock-in syndrome, where he was
He ended up.
a vegetable. But his mind was there.
Aye.
He kept blank when he knows you're talking about, and he lay in Spruce House for 6-7 years.
Oh Jesus, Mickey.
He was a vegetable, aye. And my mother attended him every day of her life. She was dedicated to my father. And I rung her one night. It's funny because I used to ring her all the time because the doctor said, oh, it's not going to make it through the night. My daddy was called Lazarus. And I rung and I said, Mommy, my daddy's only 24 hours to live. So away we go again. And then the doctor says, it's okay, Mrs. Doherty's coming around. My man says, Jesus, Lazarus again. Rose from the dead. And that's the way we all laughed about it. And me and Jean and Marie, they all used to go over and they all say, oh, he had more lives than a cat. So he was to die that many times and he didn't. He lay on. And I run my mum and my mother never flew, never got on a holiday. She was 57. And she got on the plane and went to Rome and Spain, and I rung and I says, my daddy's 24 hours, she loved. She says, oh, not again, you're telling me. And I said, I'm telling you now, Mom. So she came home and we went down to visit him and she said, oh my God, oh, what pain in my side. And I said, oh, not you today again. Did you be complaining? So me and her went to Helen Redden, took her to the hospital. We thought she had 3 gallstones on the side of her back. She came on, she fell asleep and lay on the sofa and she was sleeping anyway, and the doctor, beautiful doctor, she was gorgeous looking. I don't know if you know her. Dr. Malloy works in Quayside.
I do, yeah.
Oh, she's very pretty, isn't she?
Is she single?
No, she's married, Ciaran. And we went... I fancy our doctor on there, what do you call him? I said, what do you call him? The man doctor. Do you know him, no? Younger one?
No, I don't.
What do you call him?
It's fancy and doctor.
Anyway, you're a fancy doctor, I'm a fancy doctor. So she said to me, so my mum was sleeping, and Dr. Ballroom, she said, Michael, can you bring your mommy down to surgery first thing in the morning? My mum was 59, that's no bother, and we brought her down, and I thought it was gallstones, and she was sitting beside me, and the doctor says, Kathy, I didn't know the good news for you, and she says, you've got 3 spots in your liver. My mum says, me? And she says, oh, doctor. And do you know the words my mama says? Michael, I'm not afraid to meet God. I'm not afraid to die. She says, I'm afraid to leave you. I'm afraid to leave you, Gail, Lisa. And I rung. I thought, you're going to be grand. You get the treatment. But on my heart, I thought, right, okay, so I get her home. And I rung Dr. Moy myself, and I said, right, I'm going to just put it in the plate and you. Nobody's going to know this conversation. Nobody's going to... is my mama going to die? Because I need to know. And she said to me, look, Michael, just spend as much time as you can with her. And she lasted 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Oh, Mickey.
She was... Did you ever meet her, Ciaran, no?
No.
Ciaran, you'd have loved her.
Aye.
Everywhere she went, up and down the town, she smoked 80 fags, about 60 fags, 70 fags a day. She walked up and down the quay, meeting people. She was like Lady Diana. She was just something else. She was, and my mother, and what way could I explain it? So she lasted not even 4 weeks, and excuse me, hold on,
All right.
hold on. Good, I'm on the MTV here. Can I ring you back? I'm still here. I'll ring you back. Sorry, kid. And she wasn't afraid to meet God. She was afraid to leave us. And what way could I explain it? The day my mother died, Ciaran, I have died. I'm sorry, Ciaran.
No, listen, I know what it's like to lose a parent. I know what the process of grief takes you through. Oh,
Ciaran.
Oh.
She protected me from this world, and her words of wisdom, and her words of inspirational was unbelievable. If you had met her, Ciaran, she was something else, and I find it hard to live without her. That's just how it is.
It's hard.
And then 4 weeks after my daddy died, he was very, very sick.
So your mum and daddy died. Your mum and daddy died 4 weeks apart.
5 weeks apart. 4, 5, 5.
Wow. God,
just like that. And I lost the house like that. I went to sign the house because I thought I won the battle to keep the house and my mum and Abercorn. And then the day I went to sign the house, my daddy died, so I lost that too.
Oh my God.
But I got this, but I knew that it wasn't meant for me, Ciaran, you know, but I will never be the same. But I know that she's pushing me now. This year, I'm like, oh my God, right, this year now, I'm like, right, man, I'm ready to meet somebody. I've never been in a relationship with a man. Where be a thousand frogs? A thousand frogs, Ciaran.
But you must have, I'm not saying, you've obviously had encounters with men, but you've just not been in relationships.
Encounters? More encounters than you'd ever know. But no, never a relationship because I never allowed myself to love myself, to give myself to somebody. But it's going to happen this year. The 2 things that I probably will know that it's going to happen this year, and you know, I will, the BBC maybe, the Dream World, they will ring me and say, because I'm still on the list as a runner.
Right.
Just because of the social distance, they're not hiring anybody.
Right.
So maybe it will become never, because I know I want to be a TV presenter. That's my, because I want to make people feel beautiful. I want to get people on my show to make them, to build them up.
To take us right back full circle to the start of the conversation when we talked about you know, how we can possibly help with the mental health crisis in this city by raising and better humans, by creating a better, you know, by instilling our kids with love and acceptance and learning and curiosity and all the things that I think possibly and an emotional connection and empathy, all the things. There's a lot of that stuff in there that me and you collectively probably were denied growing up. And we know as we've said that, you know, these are the things that you don't want to pass on to your kids, but that type of trauma, you can't help it sometimes, Mickey. I find myself, you know, I when I'm a daddy now, and I find myself having bad days, scrolling about stuff and doing whatever, and you give yourself a hard time, and you're like, oh, I wasn't a good daddy today because I didn't do X, or you know, I shouted at the Wayne, or I did this, or I did that, or I didn't listen to her when she was giving up, you know, and that is to me the sort of journey of life that I think, as long as you're aware of these things As long as
Aye.
we're aware of these things, then there's a hope that we're going to get better. And what you're talking about the secret, about positivity. Since I've started this podcast, I have had so much positive things happen in my life
Because you know
because
why? Because you know
why?
why? You're interviewing people, Ciaran, but you're also helping people. You're bringing things out in people to Ciaran. I'm 44 years of age. You're the first man that I've ever come on TV line or whatever to speak this openly, whatever I've ever done. I will never forget this interview the day I did because I, you know, I can't explain it, Ciaran, but all I can
I
say is your reward now will happen because you have done something to me that I would never talk about, and I'm sitting here talking this last hour about it.
I think that's what it's about. I think that to me is what makes conversations like these interesting. Is
Aye,
that you understand that people just have shit going on, and you can't have you can't sometimes judge. You have to
no,
understand, and that's where even with like online criticism and things happening with me now, I read it and go, I don't know what's going on in their life. They could be angry, cynical, whatever. I don't know.
aye.
Just gonna leave
You
it because
see, you see, Kieran, it's none of our business what other people thinks about us.
uh, uh,
What they think about you or whatever, maybe that's not our business. What people
uh,
think about us, so that's their stuff,
great
not
quote,
ours.
Mickey. Great quote. The best weight you'll ever lose is the weight of other people's opinions of you.
Wow, I know you're right.
So
Wow,
fucking
I know
true. It's so
it is.
true. It's so
It
true.
is.
And that when you truly, truly, truly get to that point in your life, as I've only recently got to, it
Mm.
becomes a fucking massive, massive eye opener. I was saying to Mark last week, I take all sort of commentary now with a pinch of salt because
Oh my God, I can't.
I try not to read into anything. I try not to be like, oh, I'm gonna bathe in all this great positive stuff that people tell me, and I'm gonna ignore all the shit stuff because that's just to me that's sycophantic. I'm just like, no, well, you know what
I know.
I mean? I don't know. Hey, but
Yeah.
what is I suppose then as we're wrapping up now, are you going to sing us a song now? Is that what you
I do.
are you?
I'm here. I've told you before again, I'm an entertainer, but I want to do this for you.
Is this for me?
I,
Right. What are you going to
it's
sing?
for you, for me. If I have any, no, you're warned. If anything ever happens to me, this is to be played at my,
Right
this
on.
song, I believe this song was always about me. I believe it was written for me, but maybe other people sing it in different ways or different whatever, but this is my song, and I believe in this. This is something that I always loved. Hope you like it. No. I've been sitting here so long for you to hear my song. For all you want to know, I've been on the radio. Who's the biggest star I see? What is my favorite scene? And if I get the job, would I sing on Mars? Yes, sir, I was singing Mars. I play upon a star. I play songs of the sun. And when my job was done, I would say I love you so. I'd like to play one more for the road. Tell me, son, just how far I need to go to be a star. I have known my highs and lows. I've worked in every show.